everyone, welcome to Rolling Out Star Studio. We are joined today by the dynamic and compelling Sajda Waite, an actress, voice artist, and passionate storyteller based in New York City. Saj first captured attention with her gripping performance as Sasha in the psychological horror Cram, and later wild audiences in the dark comedy Teen Skin. Now in Jonesing When Love is a Habit, she shines as Layla, bringing a balance of layered vulnerability and youthful emotional fire, which I'm sure you can all see. Whether on screen or behind the mic, Saji's work is rooted in truth, transformation, and a commitment to authentic storytelling. Hi, Saj. Welcome to our studio.
Hi there. So good to be here.
Definitely, you're glowing, you're shining. You
Thank
definitely are a
you.
star, and it's so nice to have you here.
Appreciate it.
So, first of all, let's talk about your role as Layla in
Yeah,
Jones. She's both beautiful and emotionally charged. What drew you to this character, and how did you prepare to step into her world?
I was reading the script. I just fell in love with how much heart she has, how much compassion she has. And so, there are times in the script where you're like, oh, me, Sajda, maybe wouldn't respond that way. But Layla really like just puts her heart forward and she really is trying to find the best in every situation, which is such a beautiful thing to like imagine being. So every time I saw a new scene or I saw a new moment, I thought it was like a really perfect way to enter that by saying, where's the heart of this moment? What is needed to show compassion and love in this moment? I think that's kind of how I approached it.
So, Layla is part of a powerful ensemble of women in this film. What was it like collaborating with your co-stars and finding your voice among such layered female roles?
That was, I think, the fun part, right? Is that like Arya is just like a beast, right? And she's also going
Yeah.
through so much in the movie. I mean, so is Nina. So just being like how real it is to have this kind of community of women who share something so unique but also find themselves being so their own self, and so allowing that like normal volleying of like
Hmm.
love and oh, she's gonna call, okay, I don't have to call her out because she gonna call her out right now. And then but just really allowing those moments to kind of flow naturally, because I think in the script it just comes off so real. So just allowing ourselves to like sit in that moment and really be present with one another and just kind of like let that real we grew a real friendship because it all made sense and because it we just like linked so easily that then once we got the words in, the same thing kind of happened. It was just like, oh no, like, yeah, that makes sense because she's going here and she's saying that. So it was kind of seamless, to be honest.
Yeah, I've heard from Arya and I've heard from Lena, and they both had such wonderful things to say about your role as the female cast. And it's wonderful. I love seeing women come together and I love seeing female friendships blossom like that. It's something to look forward to. So, your director, Sixx, is intentional about highlighting everyone's impact in this story. How did he guide you and inspire your performance as Layla?
What was really beautiful was that Sixx was so like uplifting and just being like, I saw you as Layla. So like do you. You know what I mean? Like it was a lot of trusting in me to know where to find that character. And then when I found it, that support of like, yes, that's it. Yes. You know what I mean? And so it was just such a beautiful thing to be like, oh, I can trust in my instincts. I can trust the work that I've done with the character. And also this like back and forth. There were times where I was like, hey, actually, question this moment, or I'm thinking about this in this moment. Does that make sense? And Sixx was like, yeah, like let's the words, let's rearrange it, let's make it make sense for you. And
Oh,
I
okay.
love that because it makes you feel free. You don't feel stuck in like, oh, I something here and feeling like you can't voice that. And that was such a beautiful blessing to have.
Yeah, I love anywhere your creativity gets to shine through. And I love
Exactly.
that Six saw that. Speaking of creativity, you've played roles in different genres, ranging from horror to dark comedy to romance. What excites you about switching between these roles and these emotional tones?
To be just because it's like kind of a part of life. Life can be horrific, life can be funny, life can be romantic. It's kind of fun to be like, oh yeah, I might find myself gravitating towards a different genre more often than another, but being able to really tap into all of it feels my acting is a reflection of life and of truth.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what really makes it so much fun.
Yeah, you're right. Because sometimes life can be a downright horror movie. And sometimes it can be a
Woo!
romantic comedy. You can't really predict it.
Exactly. And you're like, oh, okay, that was scary.
Layla's character seems to represent a kind of youthful hope or thoughts. Which
Yeah.
one is it? But what emotional truths did you personally bring to her journey?
Yeah, I think for me it was a little bit of that, like, we got to live in reality, right? And so
Yeah.
sometimes things happen and they don't always make sense. And you can get caught up in emotions. You can get caught up in like not understanding things. And I think for Layla, that is trying to take in what's happening and then move with action, right? It's like, okay, you came from whatever, you're not feeling good, you're feeling down. Let's do something about it. Let's go to the poetry slam. You know what I mean? So she really like
Okay.
takes in what is happening and is like, what's the movement forward? And I think like that's kind of that's of emotion to action is what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see. We definitely can see. So you're also an accomplished voiceover artist. How
Thank
does
you.
voice acting inform your on-screen work or vice versa?
Yeah, that started second. So I think definitely on screen and theater work influenced the way that I do voiceover. And I
Oh,
really,
okay.
yeah, because I really think that there's sometimes you're on film and you're in theater and you want to do something or you want to say something, but it doesn't, based on the action that you're making physically in that moment, it might not come out the way that you want it to sound or feel or whatever. So what's fun for voiceover is that, like, okay, I'm in the booth, I've got my headphones on, I've got my microphone here, and I could really just like settle in and be like, no, I want to sound like this, or I want to do that, you know what I mean? And I'm not necessarily worried about what I have to do with my body in order to make that. I mean, obviously you can't go crazy because it's a microphone and it's recording everything, but the ability to kind of like relax the body enough to say something exactly how you want to say it. And then to do that, there's been times where I've repeated a line like 18 times until I was like, I want to go up here, I want to go down here, I want to go whatever. And so you like translate the physical action from theater and
Mm-hmm.
screen to vocal action. And it's like, oh, it's so much fun.
Definitely is because I tried doing voiceover. Let me tell you, the acting is impossible to translate your emotions to just the voice. It was hard.
No, I believe in you. You got to give it another go. You got to give it another go.
Absolutely no way. Your performances often explore identity and transformation. How
Yeah.
does Layla fit into that theme in Jonesing, and how did you connect with that off screen also?
The idea of identity and transformation. Yeah.
Yes.
I think for Layla, it's really about coming to the center. And she's loud and she's a go-getter. But I think by the end, she really is trying to like bring things into a focused and honest perspective, right? And so
Mhm.
in the beginning where she's like, then by the end of it, she's like, oh my God, like now, wait a minute, we have been moving real fast and we've been thinking and seeing things, we haven't been zooming out and seeing things from a larger perspective. And once she does, she's like, oh, okay, now I know how to focus in. Now let's like really get back on track. Now let's create that community, right? Because you have a break in the community, you have a harm, you have a hurt, without spoiling that,
Yeah, we do not want to do that.
we do want to spoil, but you know what I mean? Like it's a movie that has about life, right? So there's ups and there's downs. And so when the down happens and you have to really, as a community, as a group of women, they have to really think about does it mean to forgive? What does it mean to like see a perspective outside of yourself? And I think like standing up for your sis moment, then having to contrast that with like, okay, let's look at reality. Let's look at what's happening. Let's like, before we're jumping to conclusions and real quick with it, like Sajda might want to be. maybe we do need to take that step back. Maybe we do need to breathe. Maybe we do need to recenter and refocus so that we can move forward. And when we learn more of the truth, then we can move from that space. And I think that's kind of like her trajectory of like, whatever, this is cool, this is fun. You know what? Like, we don't need to take everything so seriously to be like, no, this is serious. This is real and it's affecting everybody's life. And how do we move from love? How do we move with honesty and we hone in on what's actually happening?
So you're an advocate for human rights and cultural equity. Do you
Yeah.
feel a responsibility when you choose your roles? Do they need to reflect your values, or and Jonesing feel like one of those projects to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, not sometimes telling a story and a character in that story is not your favorite character, right? Like they're to like it happens. They're there
Yeah.
to be that opposite. They're there to show the thing that maybe the protagonist is battling, right? So you don't always get to be the hero of the story. But I think
Yeah.
that it is very important to me that if I'm gonna be portraying something, that the story as a whole fits my values and fits what I see happen. You know what I mean? And so that happens within your character, and sometimes that doesn't. But yeah, I think when I were workshopping Jonesing or like reading through the script and more about what Sixx's vision was for this project, knowing that we're gonna be talking about Black love, we're going to be talking about Black friendship, and that's complicated and it's messy, but it's also beautiful and vibrant. And taking kind of the idea of that story, knowing it in knowing the version of this Love Jones from the 90s, and how do you recontextualize that and bring that to still have the essence, but also bring it into a modern day story. I was like, that's
Yeah.
so exciting. And I was thrilled to be able to bring that to screen and to, like be Layla. She's such an example to me of the kind of woman that I strive to be, you know, complicated, messy, but sweet and still the heart and pushing things forward. And so I was like, the minute I saw that, I was like, yes, that's what I want to do.
So there's definitely no young woman out there that's not complicated and a little bit messy.
Yeah, but it's true. You know what I mean? And
Yes, yeah. Well, we just try to be better.
yeah, messy but
So,
thoughtful.
yeah, and sweet, definitely
Exactly.
sweet. So, this film places a spotlight on emotional habits and healing. What
Hmm.
do you hope for your fans to take away after watching Layla's experience?
I would love for everyone to just be reminded how love shows up in so many ways, how love shows up in your community of friends. How are you uplifting each other? How are you supporting each other? How love shows up like romantically? How do you uplift each other and support each other in a romantic setting, in a mentorship? You know what I mean? I think this thing about this movie is how many different ways you watch love show up. And it's not just the romance, and it's you know what I mean? It's in so many different relationships. And I think taking away the idea of like, oh, am I loving the way that I say I want to love? You know what I mean? That like, oh, treat people how you want to be treated. Like, hold up, am I doing that? Am I
Yeah.
holding myself accountable in these relationships? And how can I love better? How can I love deeper? How can I love harder? I think is like the thing that I take away when I read the script and then when I finally watched the movie. And so that's what I would hope others take away too.
So, as the star continues to rise, what kind of stories or characters are you most passionate, were you most passionate about telling in the next phase of your career?
Oh, I'm really up for anything. I would like a deep desire would definitely to be to do some sort of like sci-fi Afrofuturistic thing if I
Hmm,
could.
okay.
Like that would be so cool.
Princess Leia.
Right? Like I would so down to do some sort of like space exploration type of thing. That's like a weird, like deep-seated dream of mine. But I think my Pisces comes out a little bit where I'm like, I'm go with the flow and
Hmm.
like I love playing in this dream world. So like where can I play next? You know what I mean? Is kind of how I approach it.
So, can you tell your fans out there where we can watch Jones in One of His Habits, and also where can we find you on social media?
Absolutely. Jonesing When Love is a Habit will be nationwide June 13th. So please keep your eyes open. So many premieres have happened and are still going to be happening. So please check out our website to grab tickets in your city to see where you
Mhm.
can find us. And yeah, you can find me on social media at It's Sajda, ITSSAJDAA.
Okay, so thank you, Saja, for joining us on Star Studio and Rolling Out. Your performance in Jonesing When Love is a Habit adds both vulnerability and power to this film's emotional core. Whether you're on screen or behind the mic, your voice is one that truly resonates, and we can't wait to see what you bring next to the world. Looking forward to seeing you more.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be here with you.
All right. All right. So bye bye. Until next time.
Bye.